A dream to travel the world is something most people have in common. It is in our curious nature to long for distant places, and for some, the thought of an exotic holiday still remains the main source of motivation in getting through the daily grind. Yet how is it possible that some people manage to travel for months or even years on end, while the rest of us struggle to pay for a single week abroad? Well, in this video, we will tell you the money secrets of long-time travelers and unveil proven methods that are going to help you travel more affordably and therefore longer. Once again, they do not accept our money. Hey guys!
We're Joe and Liisu, and in today's video we are going to talk about
Money, 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 must be funny.
And if you haven't been on the channel before, then first of course, welcome. And to catch everybody up to speed, then in a current state of our lives, we're fortunate enough to call traveling our full-time job.
We are in Pakistan. Welcome to Norway.
We are in Iran. I know it sounds crazy, even for us, that two random people can travel around the world with a camera and call it a job. But by now, we've both visited more than 50 countries. And most recently, we got back from a journey of a lifetime.
This time we were on the road consecutively for over a year, and we drove through 2 continents, 21 countries, including some of the cheapest, all the way to the most expensive in the world.
So bread is 4 to 5 euros a loaf.
And through this time, we recorded our every penny, so that now we can all together look at the numbers and see how expensive traveling full-time actually is.
First off, I want you to imagine a tree. And this tree is our travel budget. Every branch on this tree represents a different group of expenses while traveling. And of course, you are the tree trunk. And I know many people don't like to hear this, but this tree feeds on money.
So let's start adding a little bit of context to this tree. As you probably guessed, our biggest branch or biggest expense was transportation, which includes things like planes, boats, buses, and knowing how to save money on transportation on long-term travel is very, very, very important. For example, in the Maldives, where most tourists use seaplanes and speedboats, if you do a little bit of digging, you'd figure out that there is actually a public ferry system, which is times cheaper. And in the Maldives alone, using public transportation, we saved hundreds.
Altogether on transportation, we spent 9,740 euros. And since we travel in our own car most of the time, then the biggest chunk of it was diesel. Although there was one country on the road where diesel was almost free. It literally says foreigners get free diesel. Then still, together it ended up being over 3,500 euros to pay for fuel alone.
Our second biggest expense was
Food, wonderful food, marvelous food, glorious food.
And I know local cuisine and local food can be a sole reason to travel for a lot of people. Then knowing how to optimize these food costs, it's very crucial, and there's hundreds of ways to do it.
Yet for us, what works best is quite simple.
No eating, no cost.
That's not it. But it has to do with the way we eat. Every country we go to, we try to eat like locals. And yes, I know in some places it's tricky, if not even crazy. But without exception, local restaurants tend to be much cheaper than the international brands.
Secondly, we spent according to the country, meaning that in more expensive countries like Northern Europe, we mostly cooked ourselves. But in cheaper countries, sometimes we even ate in restaurants every day. To illustrate this, A nice meal in Pakistan can cost 2 to 3 euros, but the same thing in Norway can be honestly way more expensive, up to 20 to 30 euros per person. So altogether we spent 6,100 euros as food expenses, and this we divided into 2 categories. What we spent in supermarkets and stores, and also what we spent in restaurants. And surprisingly, it only came down to 230 euros per person per month.
That's so good. It's delicious. As the difference in food prices clearly shows, the price of your travels depends a lot on your location. A weekend getaway in Paris can cost the same as a whole month in Vietnam, and our travels show the same. Comparing the numbers, the difference between our cheapest and most expensive country is huge.
Yeah. On one end we have the Maldives, which is an island nation in the Indian Ocean, where even though we tried to keep the costs down, we still spent 47 euros per day per person, compared to the cheapest country where our expenses per person were under 10 euros per day.
And what made this country so incredibly cheap for us was the price of diesel. I can't believe this. It literally says foreigners get free diesel. I don't know how is that possible. I can't believe to this day that there's a place on our planet that offers free diesel for tourists. And combining this with the relatively cheap prices in the supermarkets, yes, Iran was the cheapest country on our journey.
Let's move on to the next branches of our spending tree, which was accommodation and sightseeing. Unlike a lot of tourists, our accommodation budget was fairly small because most nights we spend in the nature in our home on wheels. But we still managed to spend 1,878 euros on hotels and Airbnbs.
And when it comes to sightseeing, then together, both of us, in 400 days, spent about 1,400 euros. And it was much less than we expected. But I guess that's also one thing, that if you compare 1 week holiday to a long-term travel journey, then entertainment cost goes down a lot. Without the time pressure, you just don't need to book each and every day full of activities. And secondly, I'm not sure if you knew it, but many of the things you can go and buy from a tour agency can actually be done all by yourself for free if you have enough time.
Yeah, a good example of this is trekking in Nepal, really popular activity. There is hundreds of travel agencies offering guided trekking tours into the Himalayas. But if you do a little bit of research and figure some of the things out, then these treks, a lot of them can actually be done without the guide, saving you hundreds for the same thing.
Before we go and jump to the last branch of our tree, then I want to ask you a question. You were the one who was recording each and every spending we did over this year and a bit. What was the stupidest thing we spent money on, in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, if you spend money on something that you don't actually get, it's a pretty stupid expense. And I would say we spent a lot of money on visas we didn't get.
Just got back from Chinese embassy. There goes our dream.
So the Chinese visa and the rejected Pakistani visa, which were altogether over 200 euros, it is something that we're not used to. As Europeans, they usually don't have the problem of not getting visas. And
We're privileged.
And that made us feel how a lot of the people traveling feel, that there is a lot of uncertainty and changed plans due to it.
But what about the best thing?
No. What was the stupidest thing that you spent money on?
You're gonna know what I'm gonna say, yeah? I bought the shovel. And I paid millions for it. I'm not joking. There is a backstory. In Iran, This thing here, 1 million local reals, costs about 2.5 euros. And I remember I spent like 7 euros on this shovel. I have used this shovel exactly once. It cost millions. Okay.
Sure.
But enough about me. What's the best thing you think we spent money on?
I think the best thing we spent money on was the $50 tour in the Maldives where we got to swim with sharks. Because we got to swim with sharks.
Sure, the best thing to do in life is jump in the ocean with hundreds of sharks. Okay, it was cool, but I'm not a huge fan of the ocean. But for me, it's the same. I have to say that spending money on nature was always worth it. And I think the best we did was the walking safari in Nepal, where we got the guide and we walked into the jungle, spent the whole day in a jungle that is full of tigers, rhinos, elephants. I don't think I've ever heard elephants make sound like this in real life. That was so beautiful, just this. I think what's cool is the fact that both of us actually see activities, experiences as the best money spent. So it's literally the thing that we've always said. Make memories, guys. These are the best souvenirs you can bring back from your travels. 1, 2, 3!
So this brings us to the last category of expenses that are underwhelmingly called miscellaneous. And this category involves stuff from new clothes to SIM cards from every country.
How many SIM cards do you still have with you?
I have 9.
And you still need them? Sure.
No.
Okay.
And also this category has visa fees, which can be pretty expensive if you're traveling in this part of the world where not a lot of people go. All of this comes together with a little bit over 3,300 euros.
And now, to the moment that we have been all waiting. How much does it cost for 2 people to travel all around the world for 400 days? The answer is 22,309 euros.
Woohoo!
Which translates into 840 euros per person each month. And we were so surprised to see this number. We expected it to be much higher because when we're here, when we're home in Estonia, we spend a lot more.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So literally for us, traveling the world is cheaper than living the so-called like normal life. And I guess this is also the biggest secret that we can leave you with.
That traveling doesn't have to be expensive. Starting from small everyday decisions like choosing public transportation and eating at local restaurants, it teaches that absolutely everybody can develop a style of traveling that is affordable and you can do it for longer.
Yeah, it's not about how much money you have, but much more about how you spend it. Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you want to see more of this crazy journey that we've been talking about, then make sure to watch this video next. And we will see you next Thursday.
Bye.